Today, rather than going over a specific story, I wanted to highlight a petition at change.org advocating for a life mandatory life sentencing for police brutality resulting in death. I understand the importance of having law enforcement in our communities. They do complete work that is tough and challenging, and at times it's definitely risking themselves for the betterment of the community. But I do believe there are bad people within the profession, just like there's bad people within lots of professions. And as I understand it, there is immunity for killing someone while you're on the job. And I understand that if there's a self-defense situation, I'm sure that there's circumstances that I couldn't even explain in which there should be exceptions to the rule. But there does seem to be quite the number of cases where it's questionable to me, was deadly force required in the situation. Even more so when it seems that there's just cruelty behind it. I mean, this is spawned, this particular petition seems to be spawned from the George Floyd situation, as it even has a photo from that story. It didn't have to go down that way. You have the other story I talked about in one of my other videos, Breonna Taylor, shot down in her own home because they were looking for someone who had been arrested already earlier that day. That had nothing to do with her. So certain circumstances of gross abuse, gross negligence, there should not be immunity there. There should be punishment, and punishment comparable to if a normal lay person were to murder somebody. So anyway, I just wanted to highlight this particular petition. This one is kind of more encompassing of, kind of could relate to multiple stories that we've been seeing in the news recently and historically. Just wanted to highlight that. I will put a link in the description below. Thank you for listening. On with the video. Today I am showing you how to get this sunset inspired nail look. This one is a little bit more complicated, so you're along for the ride if you enjoy watching this. Otherwise, if you're up to the challenge, I do hope that you give this a try. I have gotten compliments on this nail look. Since this nail look, I'm not ready to take it off my hands yet. I have glued a false nail onto the end of a marker. Not the most official setup, but hey, we're working with what we got here. I've already buffed the false nail, so that's ready. We're gonna start with a base. I believe for a false nail, you would not technically need a base coat, but I'm going to go ahead and put that on there anyway. Cure under a lamp. I wanted this sunset color to fade from a yellow to a like orangey, pinky, and then maybe even more of a vibrant pink to red color. But I don't have a whole lot of colors in my gel polish collection. I have a good number, but I don't have those specific colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of the fact that these are a little bit sheer. I'm going to use a yellow color, a pink color, and a red color. I'm also going to need a tiny little brush. I'm going to take my yellow and put that on the base. Don't cure it yet. It doesn't have to be super perfect. Next, we'll put a bunch of pink. And then on the very, very tip, I want more pink and yellow than I do the red, because this red is pretty potent. We're gonna put the red on the tip of the nail. And then while that's all still wet, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to start, I feel like wiping with gel polish will just wipe the polish off. So I'm going to do more of a tapping motion to kind of get things starting to mix here. kind of work my way down, and it'll kind of carry the polish with it, kind of mixing it. So you're going to drag the red down in, you're going to drag pink down into the yellow now. And we're going to have this texture in here, and that's okay, because we're going to go over this one more time. Now, if you were doing your whole hand, you're going to do multiple nails at a time, and this will have a chance to settle a little bit and soften, so you don't quite see so many of those you know, marks from the blending you just did. So we're going to go ahead and cure this. In between doing these coats, I kind of wipe my brush off on a piece of paper. You don't have to fully clean it as long as you protect the brush from getting cured, because we are going to use it again, and it doesn't need to be super duper clean for the next layer. So that's cured. Now we can go in with our next layer. This next layer, I'm not going to use the red again, actually. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that these polishes are a little bit sheer. I'm going to take that yellow color again, and I'm going to put that on the base part of the nail towards the cuticle. Need a little more gel polish here. And we can overlap. We don't have to cover exactly where we covered before. In fact, we want to overlap. That's going to help the kind of blending process here. We're going to take that brush, and we're just going to do that dabbing motion again. I kind of want to bring that yellow up a little bit. So I might go down and go up, go down. For the second layer, it matters a little bit more for it to be a little bit more smooth. So if you need to do a little bit of swiping, gentle swiping with your brush, you can. But just ever so lightly. Cure that. That is cured. Next step, I'm going to take a little bit of glitter gel polish, and I'm going to apply that just to the very tip of the nail. This is simulating kind of like the stars that are just starting to peek out. So if you want to do just a very little bit, that might be a little more realistic. If you want to do a lot because you just like a lot of glitter, you know, that is fine. You do you. Whatever makes your heart sing. Okay, so just the very tip there, and I'm going to cure that. Now I'm going to put on a layer of no wipe top coat. We need to seal this in with the top coat for the next step. Otherwise, it's not going to perform the way that it should. So we've got our no wipe top coat on. We're going to cure that. The next step, you're going to need a permanent marker. I happen to have Sharpie brand, but probably whatever permanent marker you have will be a similar formulation. So we are going to just kind of do some random scribbles, kind of maybe starting more thick to the sides and fading thinner, kind of like a cloud might do. Doesn't have to be super you know, great, because we're going to actually blur this out using the rubbing alcohol method. And I found that spraying rubbing alcohol directly onto this was a little bit too powerful. So what I like to do instead is I take this little spritzer of alcohol and my brush, and I'm going to do it to the side here, otherwise I might spray the camera. But I'm going to spray rubbing alcohol on this brush, this same brush I've been using this whole time. And I'm going to dab it onto that permanent marker, to encourage it to swirl out, and even that was a little strong. So I can go in and do another layer if this is not enough. Final step, well, I shouldn't say final step because we need to top coat, but the final part of the artwork before we seal it in is to take some acrylic paint. You could choose to do this with gel polish or nail polish. I just find it a little easier to work with acrylic paint. So I'm going to take a little piece of paper here. I'm going to take a little bit of white, tiny bit of purple, and we're going to take a bit of that purple, mix it into the white until we get a color that we like. I think that'll probably do. That light purple color. And we're actually going to focus this towards what would be the bottom of the clouds, because watching sunsets, it seems that because the light's coming from below, the bottom of the cloud is illuminated. So we're going to try and focus this towards the base, kind of just dabbing that in. And again, doing the same on this side. I'll probably leave that like that. So we'll give that a little bit to dry. While that's drying, I'll clean the brush off on the side here. I think that should be all right. So we're going to go in with that top coat. Cure that. So that is the finished nail. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something or were entertained. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, like, subscribe, comment. All those things help my channel out. And I hope to see you at the next video. Bye.